Serious question as a college student. How do you deal with feeling overwhelmed by the rate things are changing? I think this is such a good question that everyone's feeling in some way or the other. It does feel like it's so much, so fast. I have no answer for you. I just think it's a good question. I think it depends person to person. People have their own coping mechanisms. Some people thrive on it. I'd say the fact that you're young is, it makes it a lot easier for you to adapt to a changing world. You know what I'm saying? This is all something you're growing up in and around. It's so much more difficult for like the guy who's 65 and, you know, tries to get some sense of normalcy and everything. And there's nothing that he remembers from, it's all changed. But luckily, all those people have assets, so they're fine. I sometimes envy humans. Excuse me? Oh, comma. Okay, I was like, what? I thought you thought of yourself as an alien, or you were like a weeb who thought you were a demigod or something. You sometimes envy humans who lived before the Industrial Revolution. Everything seemed much more in line with natural human growth. Yeah, I think when you died of shitting yourself in your outhouse or whatever, you wouldn't feel so much envy. I would say the net gain has been positive, but there is something to the idea. You know, it's really like again, if you think about like 70s, 80s, 90s, technological progress, you know, they add the computer, but it doesn't drastically change everybody's life. They have the Walkman that eventually goes to a CD player. You know, it's all, the curve isn't vertical yet. But then after basically the internet, you know, late 90s, everything goes vertical. Everything changes so quickly. It's so exponential. And that, I mean, it's proven by like, you know, where's that amazing chart? Well, I don't have the full part of the chart, but it's like time it took for platforms to reach 1 million users. So for example, this goes all the way out. If someone has the full one, it's like radio took 50 years to reach, let's say, half the country for it to be like widespread adopted. Radio took 50 years. TV took 20 or whatever. The internet took 15. Netflix took 3.5. Twitter took 2. Facebook took 10. Spotify took 5. Do you know what I'm saying? The rate for something to become world changing is a lot faster. Adoption is much quicker. Things move quicker. Threads is a bad example because that thing's dead, but it's just, it's wild how quickly stuff spreads nowadays. And again, I mean, the greatest example is that in all of our lives, we can't, especially if you're young, you can't even imagine a world without phones. Phones are only like 14 years old. Phones are not, you know, it's relatively new. And the second hit mass adoption to change the world. The second hit, smartphones, obviously, smartphones. You know, social media is like a 2010 is when it started to hit. And now we're in 2014. It's like, you can't even, the entire world's been shaped around it. If we're at this point in the radio, it wouldn't even be a third of the country yet. I remember times before smartphones, but it's blurry in how I was able to do basic things I rely on a phone for now. What do you mean it's blurry? Are you 14? What do you, like, how did I drive places I didn't know the address to? Oh, I mean, I don't know that either. I always talk about this. I think it's the craziest thing in the world that people like literally like, hey, let's meet up in this city. And they like printed a map out or they had maps in the glove box of their car. People did road trips with like multiple cars and just, no, like even like pre-MapQuest. People would like just have a big ass map in their car and they could all just find a spot. That shit's so wild to me. Yeah, you'd have to ask for directions for like some specific thing in a specific area. And everyone was doing it. Everyone just did it. They were able to meet up. It's crazy. What point does it make sense to switch jobs even if you're satisfied where you are? I would say now, I don't know what field you're in. You haven't told me enough. But I would say right now, most people are, if they're satisfied where they are happy with that. It's a tough time to be searching for jobs. This would be a crazy time to be like, I'm just gonna dip and figure it out. You can look while you have a job, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't just drop it if you're satisfied. Being satisfied with your job is like the holy grail. I say most Americans aren't. I also want to tell you, now, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. Sounds like you're ambitious. You want to move up, you want to get ahead. I totally get that. I'll just give you a word of caution that getting financial independence is always a noble goal and worthwhile goal because it makes your life easier and better and allows you to provide for people around you in trouble, whatever. But beyond that, if you keep chasing this, it's never gonna fill a hole in your soul. So if you're constantly worried about being ahead or you want to be like a certain level, then everyone's gonna respect and like me or what, that's not gonna happen. So like get enough to feel safe and comfortable and wherever that is for you, wherever that line is for you. But understand that like it's not like, oh, I have to get this a little higher, this a little higher. That's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. A lot of people have learned that lesson over and over. Yeah, beating Get to Work will fill the hole in your soul. 100%. 100%. If you beat Get to Work and leave a good review, that will fill the hole in your soul. By the way, while we're on the subject, 40,000 viewers today watching the game. 40,000! New record peak of viewers. Papa Platt, the biggest German streamer, played that shit for hours today. There was a HoloLive VTuber player. Lil Aggie, the speedrunner's been playing it. And officially, there's this game. It was Isto's last game, and it's called Atrio. This is how we met, me and Isto. Good game. You put a lot of work into it, learning experience, did well. Made enough for the company to survive. Continue going, okay? We have passed, I believe, the lifetime value of this game already. We are now, as of today, 100% net profitable. We made back everything we spent on, you know, art and sound and all the people we hired and paying. Everything now is gravy. That is fucking awesome. How long do you think remote work will be a normal thing? It's not. It's not a normal thing right now. Remote work is on its death knells. No, I mean, it's more than it was pre-pandemic, but like a lot of companies are doing their best to kill it. Very hard to get a remote work job. They're difficult with it. But again, that creates opportunities. Some companies are realizing they can get way better employees if they allow it to be remote. And so they're doing that, and that shit works. Listen, I think for like a knowledge work job, it's crazy for a company not to be as flexible on, but whatever. Especially in America where it's like, bro, I gotta live right next to the office where it's most expensive in the smallest amount of space, and I have to drive through traffic, and that shit blows, bro. I like sitting in office, otherwise I'd be lazy. There's some truth to that. I'm thinking about renting a space to work. Nick from The Yard does this. He bought a space relatively cheap with like a desk and a computer and he just goes there during the day to actually work. So he's not like sitting at his home PC co-working spaces. You want me to say the exact address and where he works? Do you want me to just dox him? Okay. It's 555 South Hollywood. Just put a desk in a closet and close the door. Do you think you're gonna get your best work done sitting in a dark closet? This is like the Harry Potter, dude. Under the stairs. Just cramp yourself in. That's where I thrive. You guys are like gremlins, huh? The darker and danker the space you're in, the more you grind. You not have to force yourself to read. I did lock myself in a room to force myself to read. It wasn't a dark closet. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. One of the bedrooms, someone had just moved out, so it was totally empty, just carpet. So I put a single lamp in there, and I just laid down on the carpet and read a book, and I locked the door, and I wouldn't let myself leave the room until I finished the book. That was when I was really grinding, though. I remember by the end of the book, I was shaking. I was like rocking back and forth because I was getting bored. I had just been doing it for so many hours. I'm moving with my parents Outback. Wait, Outback? Like the steakhouse? Oh, maybe you're just moving out back of your parents, which is totally fine. Unless you're moving to the remote Australian bush with your parents. I personally think you should move into an Outback steakhouse and set up an office there. Because then you're right next to delicious, high quality food and charming conversation and helpful waitstaff and Australian culture. Do you know what I'm saying? You could also, I've done this gambit. I went into an IHOP with some friends and we ordered all you can eat pancakes and then just never left. And we tried to stay 24 hours straight getting infinite pancakes. Because the idea is that, you know, it's unlimited. You have to keep bringing them to me. And we set up laptops and we had pillows. And so you can do that. You can go to Outback and get like unlimited shrimp on the Barbie or something and then just never leave. Sleep in the booth. All you can eat doesn't mean all you can eat 24-hour period. What are you, my lawyer? Yeah, it doesn't mean you could stay longer if you wanted to. We just set 24 hours as our Hey, Truck, I saw you're interested in the legal perspective of ChatGPT. I must be honest with you. I have never received more DMs for anything in my life than I have for lawyers wanting to tell me about ChatGPT. I'm actually not kidding. I have gotten Twitter flooded. I got Discord flooded. So many law students have reached out saying about how they use ChatGPT to cheat or how people are using it or people saying they don't use it at all. I'm like, you don't get it. Nobody uses it. I got all of the gamut of opinions, and everybody's like, and also everybody wanted to be interviewed. Everybody that reached out was like, yeah, I'm totally down for an interview. And I'm like, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you. Anyway, it turns out there's a lot of lawyers here. not that I'm not down. We got to find the right person. We have a Swedish prison guard interview to set up first before I do any lawyer interviews.